Thank you everybody, and thank you for both such initiatives to organize this. And just as our friend has talked about the labor share declining in OECDs, but this is in China. In fact, the fall is more spectacular. In 20 years' time, I think China's labor shares of the Chinese GNP, the Chinese gross national income has dropped significantly from more than 15% to 20%. But because this topic is about jobs, so I will talk about a little bit about jobs creation. Surely, I think it has been, the World Bank has always treated China as its favorite example of the spectacular economic growth, which has been growing for 10% for the past 3 years. But there is a study by Asian Development Bank in 2006 about jobs creation in Asian countries as a whole. It finds out that firstly, many Asian countries has the average employment intensity dropped significantly from 1980s onward. Say, for instance, so we have a situation which means economic growth is not creating enough jobs because employment intensity is measured by how many percent of jobs is created by 1% of economic growth. But what is more spectacular is that in the China case, whereas in the 1980s, 1% of economic growth can generate 0.33% of economic of jobs. But in 1991 to 2006, the average drops to 0.112, which means nearly 9% of economic growth cannot create jobs. So this is a kind of growth which is not labor-friendly at all. And surely it is not environmental friendly, which is why we have so many pollutions in everywhere. And if we compare the other Asian countries, although say Bangladesh, Indonesia, India, Korea, they also facing a decrease of employment intensity, but they are not as severe as in China. Say, for instance, Bangladesh is in the 1990s, for 1% of economic growth, they can have 0.49% of jobs creation. Indonesia is 0.379, and what we have is as small as 0.1%, or a little more than that. Secondly, what is more is that not only most of the economic growth in China cannot create jobs. The jobs it created, in fact, is more likely to be bad jobs. And at the same time, good jobs disappear. Already 10 years back, the ILO has a report as well about urban employment in China. And in 1990s, for instance, those better jobs provided by the state sectors and the collective sectors. From 1990 to 2002, it drops from 139 million to just 18 million. So we have a severe job loss in the state-owned enterprises and collectively owned enterprises, to the tune of nearly 60 million jobs lost in this protected sector. And at the same time, what kind of job is created? It is chiefly in the private sector, where although the employers has to provide what the labor law is required, but in general, these especially small and medium-sized enterprises, they are more likely to refuse to abide by the laws. And Chinese workers, because they have been robbed of basic civil rights, so they cannot really bargain with the employers when their rights are being denied. And at the same time, you can have individual business. It rose from 6 billion in 1990 to 23 billion. And irregular employment, the growth is tremendous. Whereas in 1990, irregular employment only is employing 15 million of labor, but in 2002, it is 95 million. So, the Chinese spectacular economic growth, in fact, at the same time, is destroying good jobs and creating bad jobs. And today, the situation is not changed much. You can hear from the news reports about Ghost City, right? That much of the shares of the national income goes to investment, especially investment by the government. You have high-speed trains which do not have enough passengers. We have ghost cities. You have miles and miles of residential area which is entirely empty. So in the end, this investment cannot generate income either. But if miles and miles of residential area could not really be used, then it means that you can't employ guards, right? You can't have shops around the residential area because nobody is living there. So in the end, this kind of investment simply cannot create jobs, cannot generate income, and in the end, it just becomes piling debts. In fact, we are witnessing a situation in China where public debt is accumulating very, very fast. Double in just a few years. So it's a terrible situation if not stopped quickly. But the problem is, since the Chinese government is a one-party state and there is simply no democratic mechanism that the working people can change this situation. What they only can do is to protest. And this is why I think that we, as a labor activist monitoring Chinese labor for more than 10 years, I urge friends here to support the China labor's protest because it is because they have been denied their rights of have a share to the economy and to the political institution. Thank you.